Hello, hello. Let's do a discussion of part 2, chapter 3 of Gulliver's Travels. This is a voyage to Brobdingnag. But first, let's do proof of life. Because the most notable thing in the last chapter is that as I was reading, somebody rolled and I shifted my feet and I squashed somebody's poor tail. And Theo maybe forgives me. If he can get all my earwax, then he'll forgive me. Right, Theo? Do you forgive me? Do you forgive me? We'll see. We'll see, yes. So, that's, Theo's okay. Theo's okay, yes. Yes, we're going to put you down. He's learning how to be in place. Place. Yeah. Okay. He's learning to be in place, and I'm learning not to step on him when he's in place, because then he won't want to just chill at my feet while I'm doing stuff. At the moment, he's chilling. That's good. So yes, chapter 3, where Gulliver gets sold by the farmer. The farmer who's like, Gulliver is just getting exhausted, worn to the bone, worn into a skeleton by the farmer, showing him in place after place after place, which, this is unfortunately based on real events, in the sense, not that there were tiny people, but that native peoples were kidnapped or, lured or whatever back to England to be displayed, and often died. Most of them died, usually because their immune systems just weren't up to it. Also, probably perhaps because of mistreatment like this, of just being used as property cattle to be displayed and shown, and just worked and worked and worked until they died. So they get a summon from the Empress, who wants to see Gulliver, takes him to court, and she says, "Oh, I'd like to have him," and he says, like, hey, if it was up to me, if I was free from my master here, I would totally be happy serving you. And the farmer, seeing his chance, sells him for like a very sizable hunk of change. And he's not sad to see the end of her. Gulliver does ask that Glumdalclitch, the little girl, the daughter of the farmer who's 9 years old, gets to enter into the Empress's service, and be his kind of nurse, his keeper, not keep well his support, the one who cares for him. And the queen agrees to this, the farmer agrees to this, and Glumdalclitch is quite thrilled to be entering into the lady service. It's quite a step up from being just farmer's daughter. So they go into service, and he meets the king. He brings in kind of learned men who just like, there's no way that this could be real. It must be clockwork that's been trained up. There's like, natural properties. This just does not make any sense, which it doesn't. And King questions the farmer. He seems to be kind of a fairly reasoned guy. Goes like, yeah, okay, the farmer didn't educate you, train up some kind of animal to do this. So, okay, it makes sense. So he enters the service. I think the striking image in this one is that they're talking, and Gulliver kind of is like, he's a patriotic Englishman, and he starts talking about all the kind of the glories and all the Whigs and the Tories and all the complications and all the art and all the intrigues and all the politics, and just what a great country England is. And the king turns to kind of his wise ministers and go, isn't it? It's like, and laughs, but it's like, it's funny that such a tiny little creature can be so proud of his vast kingdoms. It's exactly the reversal of Gulliver looking at, like, the Lilliputians who believe that they're basically the known universe is them and Belfuscu, these tiny things, and like, isn't it kind of cute that they have all their culture? It's like, it's that shift of perspective again, and it just, it's like, it's and I think about it in the senses of time. It's like we're all so caught up in our time, but we are just like a little blip that is going to go by so quickly in kind of the universe, or just getting kind of conceiving how tiny Earth is in comparison to the infinity of the universe, and how minuscule, and how long, even like how long the Earth has been around, how long the universe has been around. It's just that kind of, again, putting things into perspective, and it kind of making things, our concerns of little tiny stuff, making it so tiny and insignificant in a way. And that Gulliver confesses, like, at that moment, if he had seen a bunch of English lords and ladies all dressed up in their finery in their birthday suits, which to me seems like naked, he would laugh. He would laugh too. Um, and the other thing of perspective here is, or just power differentials, is there's a court dwarf that he's kept, that the queen has kept. So she's kind of likes little things, cute little things. Got Gulliver now, and the dwarf is like, he used to be the most diminutive, and he was the one who would get the look down on most. And now there's Gulliver, who's even smaller, and he kind of responds with always kind of sniping at Gulliver, always making fun of him. Kind of, it's here's the new weakest thing. I'm no longer the weakest thing, so now I have something to pick on. And indeed does pick on. He drops Gulliver in a bowl of cream, which Gulliver luckily is a good swimmer, or else it would have gone really hard for him. And Glumdalclitch was like across the room, so and the queen was too overcome to actually do anything about it herself. But Glumdalclitch fishes him out, and he survives. And the dwarf is no longer a favorite, and indeed a bit later on apparently gets passed on to another lady, because the Empress has got a new toy in a way. So yeah. Again, I'm just sort of enjoying that kind of that juggling with size. I'm going to pause for a second and take a look at the notes and see if there's anything else I should be adding here that completely went over my head. Oh yeah, there was a section in here about kind of dispensing with Aristotle, whose professors, an oblique attack on Sir Isaac Newton, who received the patronage of King George I. In his Optics, Newton had argued that modern science, with its general laws of nature, was more useful than Aristotelian practices, with its reference to occult qualities. So it's interesting. It's an attack, but it also still sounds like progress, maybe to a modern ear. And they say like, oh, he's like, and the scientists are going like, oh no, he's impossible. It's not a thing. In satirizing the ignorant dogmatism of scientists, Swift follows the Lucian tradition. In spite of the difficulties of ascertaining the facts, they never put forward a theory as tentative as a hypothesis. On the contrary, they struggled desperately to prove that no other theory could possibly be true, which is, there's the ideal of the scientific method, and then there's the fact that scientists can have a tendency to hold on to stuff and just try and buttress it as it goes along. And there's a long thing here about, he picks him up after he's heard about all the things, like, are you a Whig or are you a Tory? It's Whig and Tory was the primary party political division in Swift's lifetime. Tory originally derived from the name of the Irish Catholic bandits, or repatriés. The Tories supported King Charles II and the hereditary succession in the Exclusion Crisis, 1679 to 81. Swift called them the Church Party, and the defense of the exclusive position of the Church of England was fundamental to their political ideology. The Tory party, after the Revolution of 1688-9, had a Jacobite wing. In Ireland, their appellation Tory denoted a support of the Jacobite succession. So Swift rarely uses the term for his side of politics, since it signified treason. After Queen Anne's Tory ministry of 1710 to 14, which Swift served as a propagandist for, the Tories never again formed a government in Swift's lifetime, being proscribed under George I and II. The name Whig originally derived from the Whigamore, a name for Scottish Puritan rebels in the Civil War. The Whigs supported the exclusion of the Catholic Duke of York from the throne in the exclusion crisis. They supported the revolution of 1688-9, and that's the Glorious Revolution, I believe, and were the political party perceived as the most sympathetic to Protestant dissenters from the established Church of England, supporting Protestant religious freedom and toleration. They had an anti-clerical crypto-republican wing. The Whig Party was entrenched in government after 1714. So that's a little discussion. I still have so much trouble keeping Tories and Whigs separated. They're all conservatives. It's just that there's the ones that supported Chuck the Second, and then there's the ones who support the Germans. George, is it Germans? Yeah, coming in. The Hanoverians coming in. You know, doing the thing. Birthdays clothes were fine clothes worn at court on royal birthdays, so they weren't actually being naked there. And then we've got a little note: Queen's dwarf. Dwarves were often members of royal households. Charles the first queen, Henrietta Maria, kept 3 in her court, one of whom, Geoffrey Hudson, was said to be only 18 inches high, one of the smallest on record. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I yacked on a lot about this chapter, and we got some Theo in there. Theo, who is all asleep on the floor, unharmed, just trodden on. Sorry, Theo. All right, more videos later.